06.
Sophie Cunningham, 2520. Laura Dunbar, 2527.
Christopher Kay, 2187.
Caroline Richardson, 2577.
Thank you.
Algie, can't you recollect what our father's Christian name was?
My dear boy, we were never even on speaking terms. He died before I was a year old.
Aunt Augusta, when did his name appear in the army lists of the period?
The general was essentially a man of peace, except in his domestic life. However, I have no doubt his name would appear in any military directory.
The army lists of the last 40 years are here. These delightful records should have been my constant study. Didn't I tell you, Gwendolyn? My name is Ernest. I mean, naturally is Ernest after all.
Ah, yes, I remember now that the general's name was Ernest. I knew I had some particular reason for disliking the name.
Ernest. My own Ernest. I thought from the first it could have no other name.
Gwendolyn, it's a terrible thing for a man to learn, that all his life he's been speaking nothing but the truth. Can you forgive me?
I can, for I feel sure you are to change.
My nephew, you seem to be displaying signs of triviality.
On the contrary, Aunt Augusta, for the first time in my life, I've realised the vital importance of being earnest.
Thank you all so much. You've been terrific. I'd like to start off by saying success is a science. If you have the conditions and you get the result. So I'm so pleased you all enjoyed this evening's performance, as you all make it quite worthwhile. So to continue the amusement, we have a terrific evening planned ahead for us. To join me in the ballroom afterwards, where we enjoy food and music alike. Thank you very much once more. Thank you.
Oscar, when are you coming home?
Darling, I know I've been around, but it would be fine, I'm sure.
Oscar, the boys and I haven't seen you for weeks. Why don't you come home tonight? You could read the story.
Darling, I could do, but I'm really rather running short of time at the moment. Maybe next week, yes? You should have got them on tonight.
Oscar, they're only young.
Darling, I'm really in between things at the moment.
You're getting right before your family again, aren't you?
My darling, your slim girl soul walks between passion and poetry.
I don't want to hear your meaningless quotations tonight, Oscar.
I am torn in bits by society. Immense receptions and wonderful dinners, crowds waiting for my carriage. You have to understand, people expect me and you to be at these spectacular occasions. Otherwise, my plays now would simply be forgotten about.
Is that so important?
It's very important.
Boys are growing up without a father.
I know, my dear, but the public is important to me as well. My career is at its height.
I'm leaving.
Constance.
Do not be so patronising.
Oh, my dear. I'm sorry. Shall we put on a brave face and go in together? I can't go in without you.
Promise me you'll come home.
I read you loud and clear, my dear. I'm a man who stands in symbolic relations to the arts and culture of his time, but I will step down off my stage and pay more attention to my loving wife, who shines beautifully, like a little tiny piece of glitter at every tremendous angle. Shall we go inside?
Okay then, Oscar. Let's go inside.
Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure in welcoming this evening Oscar Wilde and his lovely lady wife, Constance.
pleasure to meet you.
Please, call me Boozy.
Ah, Constance. Will you join me in a conversation with Lady Beauregard?
Yes, Robbie, thank you.
So, Bosie, tell me a bit about yourself.
Well, actually, I'm studying English at Oxford University. Father, you must meet Oscar.
Oscar? Ah, the infamous Oscar Wilde.
The one and only. Oh, sorry. Here's Constance and Robbie. Meet my new friends, Lord Queensberry and his father.
I trust you had an enjoyable evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Why, yes, thank you, Robbie. The evening was most delightful.
Yes, Robbie, brilliant. You needn't put it on for little old me anyway.
Nothing's too much for you, dear Oscar.
Lord Queensberry, did you enjoy yourself this evening?
I am not one for the theatre, but I found your play quite enjoyable.
You and everyone else in the audience, I'm sure.
Oscar, I'm feeling rather tired. I may retire back to the house.
Oh, my dear Constance, no! Oscar cannot leave yet. He is the man of the moment.
I wish to escort you home, dear Constance.
Thank you, Robbie.
I feel I may now do the same. A pleasure to have met you, Mr. Wilde. Good night, Alfred.
Good night,
A
Father.
pleasure to meet you as well, Marcus. So, Daisy, tell me a little bit about yourself. Did you enjoy this evening?
I found it quite tremendous, Oscar. Your work is quite magnificent.
Thank you.
I do dabble in young bit poetry myself.
Oh, really? Where did you draw your inspiration from?
Well, from life itself, my encounters, and my peers.
Oh, I'd love to hear some. Maybe next time we meet?
And there is next time.
I'm sure there will be. There's nothing in the world worth having except youth. Youth with its perfect sins, sins with the dew upon them like red roses. Youth with its purple passion and its wild and wonderful tears. See, I write a couple of those a day. It just helps to keep the mind, I find it helps to keep the mind lubricant. Although, just thoughts at the back of my head, really. You know, there's only one thing in the world worse than being talked about a lot, and that's not being talked about at all. Well, I thought that was rather witty anyway. It seems the public have nothing better to do than talk about me these days. You can't blame them though, can you? Society is so bland. Everyone's doing the same thing, day in, day out. They wear the same clothes and they talk about the same thing. I've been told that people can't find a bad word to say about me. However, it's perfectly monstrous the way people go about nowadays saying things against and behind one's back that are absolutely and entirely true. Anyway, I must be off because I have people to see and things to do. It's such a drag being on top of you again, you know. I'm going to pursue it, so I must run. Goodbye.
Constance, may I have a word?
Certainly, Robbie.
What about? It's about Oscar. He's been worrying me of late, and I feel there is something you need to know.
Pray, tell me. Do not keep me in suspense.
Calm yourself. You must listen to me and trust in the information I have obtained.
Dearest Robbie, your presence here is much welcome. But you come to my house to inform me of news of my husband, yet fail to do so.
It concerns Bosie as well.
Something awful has happened, hasn't it?
No, Constance, nothing awful has happened. I've just heard rumours.
What sort of rumours?
Well, they have been spending rather a lot of time together recently.
Robbie, what are you implying?
I'm sure it's nothing serious.
It's not nothing if it involves my husband. He's not just my husband, Robbie. He's father to Cyril and Vivian as well. I need to think about them.
That is why I came to talk to you. I didn't want you to hear it from idle gossip.
Then please just tell me.
People have been speculating. They've been saying that Oscar and Bosie's relationship is somewhat more than a friendship.
Robbie, I wish it were that I did not know what you were saying. But the fact of the matter is that I do. And all I have to say to you, Robbie, is that a woman knows her husband. And I know Oscar. He is not what you're implying. Him and Bosie are mainly friends.
No, Constance, it is not me you have to try and convince. Too many people have been talking, and what they are saying is not in accordance with the law.
What am I to do, Robbie? This gossip will ruin Oscar. Is there no way that you can stop it?
Constance, I think the only way forward for you and your family is for Oscar and Bosie to stop seeing one another.
I can't do that to Oscar. I can't misplace my faith in him.
Constance, you must think on this a while. I mean you and Oscar no harm, but just talk to him. Please.
What to do? If only there was some way to rid me of these terrible ideas that plagued my mind.
Why must Oscar flaunt his relationship with Bosie in such an eccentric manner? Not only is it unfair to Constance and the children, but to me. Bosie does not love Oscar like I do. Nobody loves Oscar like I do. I know, it is foolish of me to love a man such as the great Oscar Wilde. However, he is equally blinded by the complexities and beauty of love as I am. Where stands a weed, we see a blossoming flower. Bosie will stray. He will tire of Oscar, and he will stray. He may be this beautiful rose in Oscar's eyes now, but roses have thorns. And eventually, in time, roses wilt and die. If only he could understand this.
Father, what do you think about Oscar? Far too flamboyant for my liking. He seems rather too far from reality.
How do you mean, too far from reality?
He's living in a dream world where everything revolves around him.
I know, isn't it marvellous?
What do you mean, Alfred?
I mean, with a talent like his, everything should revolve around him.
It seems to me that his talent is overrated. I do not care much for his little stories.
Well, seems like you're the only one who doesn't care for them. Everyone else in London, and indeed it seems the world, likes his so-called stories, as you like to call them.
Then the people of London, and indeed the world, as you say, are a collection of fools.
Father, you really do have too high an opinion of yourself.
Oh, I see. I have too high an opinion of myself. What about that Oscar? Don't you think that for a mere playwright he has too high an opinion of himself?
Au contraire, Papa. In my opinion, I don't think his opinion of himself is not